Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Welcome to our Zohar reading for August 5th, Tuesday. Great to have everyone here. We're going to set our intention before we start the reading with a clip of Rav Laitman.
Bala Sulam writes here about Rashbi and the secret he wanted to reveal, and he had doubts about it. What's the big secret concealed in the Book of Zohar? I don't know, probably Rashbi didn't tell? No, really, what's the big secret? The big secret is that if you relate correctly to the book, you draw from there the reforming light. The reforming light which you draw, it could be both the potion of life and the potion of death, depending on how you relate to the Zohar and to the Torah in general. You see, the Tanakh, Talmud, Mishnah, Talmud, all the other books written by Kabbalists, in all the fields of the Kabbalah, they're not forbidden. Only the Zohar was forbidden, only the Zohar was concealed. And also other Kabbalistic scriptures, but especially the Zohar. Why? Because there's light in it, and in the others, not that much. For us, God forbid to say that there's no light in the Torah written by Moses. But for us, there is none. It's extremely exalted and high, and the Zohar is close to me. But if I'm still in the ego, I can use it in order to receive, and then that light turns into the potion of death for me. If I want to achieve bestowal, then that light, it turns into the potion of life for me. It helps me achieve the vessels of bestowal. But we see that even with the ordinary Torah, if a person studies it incorrectly, he becomes more egoistic, he demands more. I deserve it, everyone must serve me, I'm great, I'm special, I'm righteous. Why does he think that? Because the light of the Torah became a potion of death for him, increasing his ego. Instead of decreasing it, instead of feeling himself less than others, he feels himself more than others. Now, you want the wisdom of Kabbalah to be studied that way too? People were undergoing a process. What does it say in the Zohar? At the end of the days, that wisdom shall be revealed for the correction of the world. When the world will be ready for correction, when they'll start discovering how truly it is meant for correction. So come the Kabbalists of the last generation, and they're the ones telling us that the time has come.
All right, so with that intention, let us begin the reading. The Vision of Rabbi Hiya. Number 49. Rabbi Hiya fell to the ground, kissed the ground, and wept. He said, "Dust, dust, how obstinate you are, how insolent! All that is coveted by the eye withers in you. all the pillars of light in the world you consume and grind. How impudent you are! Rabbi Shimon, who was illuminating in the world, the great ruler, the appointee over the world, whose merit sustains the world, is withering in you. Rabbi Shimon, the light of the light, the light of the worlds, you wither in the dust, and you exist and lead the world. He wondered for a moment and said, Dust, dust, do not be proud, for the pillars of the world will not be given to you, since Rabbi Shimon is not withering in you. We should thoroughly understand the meaning of Rabbi Hiya's vow. The primary engagement of Rabbi Hiya and Rabbi Yossi, as they were walking along the way together, was in that blocked gate, Malchut of Malchut, which receives none of the upper mochin in the 6,000 years prior to the end of correction. Rabbi Yossi replied to Rabbi Hiya in the name of Rabbi Shimon that this gate stayed blocked indeed, and all the wholeness is only in the key. This is what troubled them so. Finally, Rabbi Hiya came to a great awakening. Rabbi Hiya fell to the ground, kissed the ground, and wept. He said, Dust, dust, how obstinate you are. He also said, How insolent you are. All that is coveted by the eye withers in you, since through the sin of Adam Arishon, all the souls departed him and were taken captive by the shells, who include all the souls in the world. In his repentance, Adam Arishon corrected only his own part, and even that not completely. Past him, the souls are sorted each generation through repentance and good deeds until the end of correction. It follows that all those high souls from Yichida and God of Hiya depend on the sorting and mating on the Malchut of Malchut, the blocked gate that has neither sorting nor mating. Thus, all those souls wither in the dust, which are the shells, as it is written, and behold the tears of the oppressed, and they have no one to comfort them. It is so because the shells of the dust governs them with insolence and abstinence, sure of her strength, that there is no one who can save them from her hand. This is what Rabbi Hiya cried over, and said to the dust, to the shells, How obstinate you are, how insolent! All that is coveted by the eye withers in you, since all those highest of souls, who are coveted by the eye, rot in you, hopeless of being delivered from your hand. All the pillars of light in the world you consume and grind. All the righteous in the world, who illuminate the world, are lacking in completeness too, due to the captivity of those high souls, since all the souls are included in one another. It therefore follows that they too are consumed and ground by the insolence of the dust. And Rabbi Shimon is not withering in you. First, he wished to say that Rabbi Shimon too was withering in this dust, since he heard from Rabbi Shimon that he too agreed that this gate was blocked and was not to be disclosed. Afterwards, he wondered and said, Since Rabbi Shimon, the holy light, sustains and leads the worlds, how is it possible that he is not whole in his full completeness? After that, he wondered for a moment, meaning reconciled, and said that indeed Rabbi Shimon is not withering in you, since he is certainly in complete wholeness, but he could not understand that possibility. 50. Rabbi Hiya rose and was walking and crying, and Rabbi Yossi was with him. He fasted 40 days since that day to see Rabbi Shimon. He was told, You are unworthy of seeing him. He wept and fasted 40 more. He was shown Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar, his son, in a vision, engaged in this thing that Rabbi Yossi said in the name of Rabbi Shimon, and several thousand were listening to his words. In his agony for the beauty that has withered in the ground, He craved to see Rabbi Shimon's degree because he had decided that Rabbi Shimon did not wither in the ground. 51. In the meantime, he saw several large and high swings, with Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar atop them, rising to the seminary of the firmament, and all those wings were awaiting them. He saw that Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar were renewed in their brightness and illuminated more than the light of the brightness of the sun. The upper seminary is the seminary of the Creator, and the seminary of the firmament is a seminary of Matat. Wings are the angels that assist the souls in raising them from degree to degree, and as the soul needs the assistance of the wings for the ascension, it needs their assistance in bringing her back to her place. And all those wings were awaiting them to bring them back. He saw them returning from the seminary of the firmament to their place, to the seminary of Rabbi Shimon. They were renewed with the brightness of the light of their faces, and they illuminated more than the light of the sun. 52. Rabbi Shimon opened and said, "Let Rabbi Hiya in, so he may see how much the Creator will renew the faces of the righteous in the next world. Happy is he who comes here without shame, and happy is he who stands in that world as a pillar, who is strong in everything." Rabbi Hiya saw himself entering, and Rabbi Hiya rose, and so did the rest of the pillars of the world who were seated there. They rose before Rabbi Hiya, and he, Rabbi Hiya, was ashamed and entered. He drooped himself and sat at Rabbi Shimon's feet. Rabbi Shimon hinted to him, "Happy is he who comes here without shame." He also saw Rabbi Elazar and the rest of the pillars of the world, that they were without shame. But Rabbi Hiya himself was ashamed, because he withered in that dust and did not have the strength to overcome them. He was ashamed and went in, drooped himself, and sat at Rabbi Shimon's feet. 53. A voice came out and said, "Lower your eyes, do not raise your head, and do not look." He lowered his eyes and saw a light that was shining far. The voice returned as before and said, "The hidden and the blocked upper ones, whose eyes are open, who roam the entire world, look and see. Sleeping lower ones, whose light of the eyes is blocked in the holes of your eyes, awaken." After he obeyed, lowering his eyes and not raising his head, he was rewarded with hearing this herald, for which he obtained all that he sought. The hidden and the blocked upper ones, whose eyes are open, who roam the entire world, look and see. Sleeping lower ones, whose light of the eyes is blocked in the holes of your eyes, awaken. The herald awakened those souls that obeyed the words of Rabbi Shimon, those who were there and those who were not there. The herald went out to all the souls of the righteous and divided them into two classes. 1. Holy upper ones, who were hidden and blocked, who were rewarded with opening of the eyes and with roaming the entire world. He called upon them to look and to see, to extend the upper lights together as one with the second class. 2. All those camps that go and are expelled after the Creator and the Shekhinah go there and are expelled from his Shekhinah. He calls them lower ones, sleeping, whose light of their eyes is blocked in the holes of the eyes. He called upon them to awaken. 54. Who is so wise among you as to turn darkness into light, for whom the bitter tastes as sweet even before he comes here, while he is still alive in this world? Who among you awaits the light each day, shining when the king visits the dough, at which time the glory of the king increases, and he is called the king of all the kings of the world? And one who does not expect it each day while he is still in this world has no part here. The herald emphasizes the essential merit that is desirable in each class. 1. To the merit of the first class, he says, "Which of you turns darkness into light, for whom bitter tastes as sweet?" These are the souls of Atzilut. In Biyah it is written, God has made them one opposite the other, darkness opposite the light, and bitter opposite sweet. Hence, in the Torah of Biyah, there is fit and there is unfit, pure and impure, forbidden and permitted, holy and secular. But the Torah of Atzilut is entirely the names of the Creator. There is nothing secular there, since Laban, the Aramean, is deemed a holy name, and so does Pharaoh. Also, there all the names that are the shells and impurity in Biyah are only holy names, sublime. It follows that those souls that have been rewarded with the light of Atzilut turn every darkness into light and every bitter into sweet. 2. To the merit of the second class, he said, which of you expects each day the light that illuminates while the king visits the dough, at which time the glory of the king increases and he is called the king of all the kings of the world? It is they who roam after the Shekhinah, who sits alone and who always waits for the Creator to raise the Shekhinah from the dust. And one who does not await that each day while he is in this world has no share here. Let us renew our intention before we continue with another clip of Rav.
28. We're reading the Zohar in order to invite, to draw the upper light that corrects us. Corrects meaning unites us to that collective common soul in which we all exist and where we are all connected. And now it only depends on us how we want to feel ourselves, either detached from the true state or to the extent that we want to be in it, to experience it, we will feel it. It depends on the mutual influence, each and everyone's influence over all the others. So especially as we read the Zohar, we must think about how to unite by the power of the Zohar. And within the unity, we will reveal everything.
Let us continue, dear friends. Item 55. In the meantime, he saw many of the friends around all the upright pillars standing, and saw that they were being raised to a seminary of the firmament. Some were ascending and some were descending, and above them all he saw the winged one, Matat, approaching. While the herald was calling, he saw several of the souls of the righteous, who belonged to those two classes, around all the upright pillars, the souls of the righteous, who were already in the seminary of Rabbi Shimon. He saw them rising to the seminary of the firmament. Some were ascending and some were descending. The first class ascended and the second class descended, as this is how they assist one another, following one calling of the herald, who said to the first class, "Look and see," and to the second class, "Awaken." He saw that by the awakening of all those souls, by the two classes together, Matat came down from the seminary to the seminary of Rabbi Shimon, and took the oath. And above them all he saw the winged one approaching, and took the oath, since above them means the same as through everyone, and the winged one is Matat. 56. Angel Matat took an oath, which he heard from behind the curtain, that the king visits each day and remembers the dough that is lying in the dust. At that time he kicks 390 firmaments, and all are startled and frightened of him. And the king sheds tears for the Shekhinah being in the dust, and the tears are as boiling as fire and fall into the great sea. And by the power of those tears, that appointee over the sea, called Rahav, stands and exists and sanctifies the name of the Holy King. He takes upon himself to swallow all the waters of Bereshit and gather into him when all the nations assemble over the holy nation, and the waters dry out and pass through the land. He takes an oath that the king visits each day and remembers the doe that is lying in the dust. She is the holy Shekhinah, although it is not referring to the whole of the Shekhinah, for there was no need to take an oath for that, since it is open to all. Rather, it is referring to Malchut of Malchut, which Rabbi Hiya believed was captive among the shells and was left completely alone. He wept and said, "Dust, dust, how obstinate you are, how insolent! All that is covered by the eye withers in you. All the pillars of light in the world you consume and grind." For this reason she is called a doe that is lying in the dust. And here this great secret was revealed to Rabbi Hiya through Matat, when he came to the seminary of Rabbi Shimon, since he took an oath that the king visits and remembers the doe that is lying in the dust each day, but in the same way that Matat gradually elucidates before us. At that time, he kicks 390 firmaments, and all are startled and frightened of him. The coupling by striking of the upper light on the screen is regarded as the upper light kicking the screen, meaning the upper light kicks and wishes to permeate below the boundary in the screen. The screen, in turn, detains it and reflects the upper light, and this reflection is the reflected light that rises from the screen from below upward, clothing the upper light. It is 390 firmaments because the screen is called a distinguishing firmament and includes 4 phases Chabat Tum within it, the 4 letters Havaya. And since Malchut was sweetened in Bina, the screen is in Bina, and the Sfira Bina is implied in the hundreds. It follows that those 4 phases in the screen Chabat Tum add up to 400. However, there is no coupling on the Malchut of the bottom Hay, since she is the blocked gate. For this reason, the 100 of the Sfira of Malchut, the bottom Hay, is regarded as lacking the 10 of the Malchut of Malchut there, having only the first 9, which add up to 90. This is the hint in the screen called firmament, on which the upper light makes a coupling in a coupling by striking, which is a kick. There aren't 400, but 390, with 10 missing, Malchut of Malchut. This is why he calls the firmament 390 firmaments. It was said that each day he kicks in the 390 firmaments during the coupling with the Shekhinah, except for the doe that is lying in the dust, who is deficient there with respect to that coupling, for she is 10 who are absent from the 400. And all are startled and frightened of him, due to the striking of the screen on the upper light with a tremor and a shudder, out of fear that he will receive more than his boundary, and the king sheds tears over it. The mochin at the level of Chokhmah are called Einayim, since the 5 Sefirot of Rosh are called Galgalta Einayim and the Chap, and those drops that the eyes emit are called tears. Those drops that the level of Chokhmah emit are called tears. Emission of tears is done in a coupling by striking, because the upper light that is drawn to the lower one and strikes the screen kicks and strikes it, for it wishes to be drawn below the boundary in the screen. However, the screen promptly prevails over it and repels it, for it does not let it cross its border. However, in the meantime, before the screen repels it, very small drops of the upper light necessarily extend below the boundary of the screen, because for all the quickness of the screen, it failed to repel them from it and above in time. You should know that those drops cannot be included in the level of Chokhmah that came out in the lower one, as they are without a clothing reflected light, and since they are reflected and exit the Partsuf Chokhmah, they are the ones called tears. When a corporeal person fills with compassion and love over one's friend, he sheds tears, for it extends from the above-mentioned root of the spiritual tears, since anything spiritual that occurs in the upper ones strikes and finds a branch in the corporeal creations. This is so because the upper light kicks and strikes the screen to breach its boundary, since the upper light is always extends only from Ein Sof, above the world of restriction, where no boundary is discerned. Also, the upper light craves and longs to expand in the lower one. As we learn, the Creator craved to dwell in the lower ones. We also learn the Shekhinah is in the lower ones, a high need. Hence, he kicks and strikes the boundary in the screen, to be drawn below the boundary, and the screen repels it as reflected light, and in the meantime tears fell outside. These tears come out of compassion and love for the lower one. Hence, in the corporeal branches too, the tears are always emitted when one's heart is moved with love and compassion for one's friend. Yet, spiritual tears do not vanish, as do corporeal ones. The tears that are as boiling as fire fall into the great sea, as it is written, for love is as strong as death, jealousy is as severe as the netherworld, its flashes are flashes of fire, the very flame of the Lord. This is so because those tears come out of compassion and love from the upper light to the lower one. And as you find in the corporeal branch, when one fills with love and compassion for one's friend, the tears are as boiling as the measure of his feelings for him. So it is with the above-mentioned tears. They boil as fire, whose flashes are flashes of fire, the very flame of the Lord. This is why it was said, and the tears are as boiling as fire, and fall into the great sea. The quality of Malchut on the side of Chokhmah is called the Great Sea, since great waters extend from it, breakers of the sea. Through those tears, that appointee over the sea, called Rachav, stands and exists, meaning that minister of the sea who was skilled at the time of the creation of the world. It is written, and by his understanding he shattered Rachav. For when he was told, let the water be gathered together into one place, he did not want to swallow the waters of the Bereshit, and he stands and exists on those tears that fall into the great sea, for through them he is revived. It was said that he sanctifies the name of the Holy King and takes upon himself to swallow all the waters of Bereshit. This is so because at the time of the creation of the world, no correction reached Malchut of Malchut, since the Emanator corrected the world's Abiyah in Man of Binah and not in Man of Malchut. And this sufficed only for the first 9 of Malchut and not for Malchut of Malchut. It is written, you are my people, you are in partnership with me. I started the worlds and you finished them. The entire correction of Malchut is upon the lower ones. Hence, when it was said to the minister of the sea, let the water be gathered together into one place, he refused and did not wish to swallow all the waters of Bereshit, because the swells would have overcome him for lack of the correction of Malchut. This is why he was killed. However, those tears are the ones that sort and correct the Malchut of Malchut. Friends, we are running out of time. I want to read a few comments from the friends that were with us. We have Carl from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We have Lisbeth from the Netherlands, Sylvia from the Netherlands, we have Tolik from Brooklyn, Patricia from Ohio, Jose from San Diego. We have Mabeler from Mexico. We have Cannibal from France, Elle from Minnesota, Annie from North Carolina, Sylvia from Argentina, Sean from Melbourne, Australia, Susan from Virginia, Andreas from Lithuania, Javier from Intention. Excellent. Thank you so much, friends, for connecting, for reading the Zohar with us. Have a great rest of your day, and let's carry the Zohar in our hearts. Until next time.